People who live in Baltimore County's Back River community say a sewage treatment plant that's long been a source of concern and frustration is also the source of a bug infestation that's destroying their way of life. WMAR 2 News' Elizabeth Worthington has been reporting on issues with midges in the county. Tonight, she's digging deeper into concerns with that treatment plant.
When you see this every night, little bugs called midges swarming around your home, it's a problem that's impossible to ignore. But people who live in Essex near the Back River Wastewater treatment plant are even more concerned about what they can't see, what the plant is dumping into their water.
The midges wouldn't be here if they hadn't started dumping and polluting our river in the first place. Midges are a product of them contaminating our waterway.
The plant has given residents like Mary Taylor and Janis Gillespie grief for years. And as the midges population exploded this past spring, they're pointing the finger at the plant as the source. Anywhere with high levels of nutrient-rich waste, like a sewage treatment plant, can be a breeding ground for the bugs. But the Baltimore City Department of Public Works, which operates the plant, tells WMAR 2 News it's made, quote, significant progress in reducing nutrient levels and actively treats its process streams with the same pesticide that Baltimore County uses to spray the river and kill midge larvae. The DPW says, quote, therefore, infestations observed in downstream areas are highly likely to originate from other point sources outside the plant. Taylor and Gillespie aren't buying it and say the problem goes well beyond bugs.
It is an issue for all 6 states that are part of that Chesapeake Bay watershed. And if we at the top of the Chesapeake watershed do not take care of Back River, then the entire Chesapeake Bay is going to be contaminated.
Really what the bottom line is there's no accountability or transparency, and then sometimes even when they are, we're not sure they're even giving us the full truth.
Their trust issues with the plant date back years. In 2023, DPW settled a lawsuit with the Maryland Department of the Environment. It started with state inspectors finding excessive contamination flowing into the river and ended with officials discovering systemic failures throughout pretty much the entire plant.
That plant failed, and for 2 years, the Maryland Department of Environment had no clue because they were getting reports that indicated it was functioning. And it wasn't until the water testing showed differently that they actually went in and inspected and ended up taking it over. It was a catastrophic failure.
The plant is still under a court-ordered consent decree mandating continued improvements to maintenance and operation. The DPW tells WMAR 2 News the plant has been fully compliant with all regulatory requirements since June of 2022.
It has significantly cleaned up its waste outputs in the last few years. That's not to say that it's not part of the problem, but I think that it's really interesting to see that there's such a reported increase in nuisance midges while we have this juxtaposition of they have done some cleanup.
Gussie McGuire, staff scientist for the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, says there are plenty of factors that could be contributing to the current midges outbreak.
So unfortunately, in a urbanized watershed, there's a lot of potential places that you can get nutrient pollution. We have increased development as well. So anywhere that you're digging, burying the soil and allowing the sediment to come off, that's going to be adding to your problem.
Regardless of where the midges are coming from, people like Mary and Janis are looking for more answers on how officials plan to combat the problem long term and more data on what exactly is being dumped in their waterways every day. In Baltimore County, Elizabeth Worthington, WMAR 2 News.